Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for joining us this morning to talk about the Ohio College Initiative's CARES funding. My name is Bobby Persinger, and I am the Deputy Director here at Prevention Action Alliance. And I am so happy to help moderate today's webinar and talk with you all about this amazing opportunity that's being offered to OCI member campuses with the help and support of our partners at the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. As we go through today's webinar, I'm going to just help facilitate some information behind the opportunity, as well as talk about with you all some possibilities on how to utilize the funding to better support the wonderful work that you're doing on the campuses across the state. There will be a time for questions and answers before we end the webinar this morning. Everybody is currently in listen-only mode. If you have a question, please feel free to put it in the chat box or the question box. As I mentioned, by the end of the webinar, there will be an open time for questions and answers. And then, of course, you can always email us here at Prevention Action Alliance if you have a question that comes up after the webinar ends. So let's get started. As I mentioned, the Ohio College Initiative funding opportunity through the CARES Act will offer all of the OCI members through Prevention Action Alliance the opportunity to potentially receive around $16,000 to support efforts to engage students through mental and emotional health and well-being, as well as prevention science, and just supporting standard operating practices and procedures, excuse me, that may have been impacted by COVID. These dollars will be made available through Prevention Action Alliance. And as I mentioned a moment ago, it's in partnership with our collaborators through the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. That collaboration and that partnership is a long-lasting and strong one that we have engaged with our OCI networks. And this is just one more opportunity that we want to share with you collectively. So some important dates to kind of be aware of and to be that are noteworthy. We did make the initial announcement Friday, October 30th to all of the member networks through our network-based newsletter. There was some addendum newsletters that went out after that October 30th newsletter that further fleshed out the opportunity. It was also announced through the newsletter through the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, not only to OCI members, but to the larger statewide community. Today, obviously, November 5th, is the first informational webinar that we have on this opportunity. And we'll be having a second informational webinar, a duplicate webinar, next Wednesday on the 11th as well. Next Wednesday's webinar will be at 1 p.m. So if there are other questions and you want to join that webinar as well, please feel free to do so. Or as I mentioned before, you can always just reach out to us directly via email or phone. Probably the most important date on this list of dates is Friday, November 20th, is when the applications and the attachments are due to us here at Prevention Action Alliance. I will show you later on in the webinar, if you haven't already found out how to access that application. It is on our website at preventionactionalliance.org under the Ohio College Initiative tab at the top of the webpage. But we're going to look at that a little bit later as well. We will provide notice of awards by Monday, November 30th. And everybody who is awarded funds will be asked to provide a progress report or an update back to us at Prevention Action Alliance by January 5th. The items that you'll want to include, those attachments that you'll want to include with your application, are a W-9 from your institution, as well as a plan of action on how you're going to utilize the funds. Some award criteria that needs to be considered. Any institution who will receive the funding will need to be a member of the Ohio College Initiative. In As we are living through the COVID pandemic, one of the things that we have done here at Prevention Action Alliance is waived all membership fees for this fiscal year. So if there's an institution or you have colleagues uh, or friends who work for other institutions who are not members of the college initiative, they can easily sign up to become a member of the initiative this year and receive full function and benefits of membership free of charge this year. Awardees must also agree to participate in a statewide campus survey process that is currently in development. We are looking to uh, do an evaluative survey methodology with all the campuses and universities across the state to speak to any behavioral health, substance misuse, and mental health diagnoses situations that are facing students on Ohio's college campuses, and also how the larger system, behavioral health system here in Ohio, can support college health and wellness professionals, college professors, staff, and of course students. So anybody awarded this opportunity through this CARES funding will be asked to participate in that upcoming survey process. Also, we are looking to help campuses across the team either create or strengthen a multidisciplinary campus team that would be rallied on campuses across the state uh, in, to support students as they are navigating uh, their academic experience in the pandemic. So we know that there are some students who are engaging with faculty and staff through a hybrid model of some on-campus, some virtual experiences, and we know that there are some students who are completely virtual. And we know that the campuses across the state have experienced a lot of unique challenges related to the COVID pandemic, and we want to be able to help support a response and an engagement with those students and with the larger community around the campuses. And then, as mentioned before, um, each recipient will be asked to provide a progress report on just an update, really, on what's happening on their individualized campuses by early in the new year. So just some ideas. We wanted to take this opportunity to provide you with some general overview ideas on how uh, the work that can be done or is being done or can be supported with these funds that's already being done on your campuses. So one of the opportunities that these funds could go to support is promoting prevention within your campus community and really strengthening and encouraging existing strategies that you have on your campuses, whether that's engaging students in a group setting or an individualized setting, the promotion of prevention strategies and processes across campus when it comes to substance use behavior or mental health promotion activities, uh, peer-to-peer responses, and then also professional responses through maybe counseling services or health services or the wellness offices on your campuses. Another opportunity for this funding could be used to enhance partnerships with community sector stakeholders. There are lots of wonderful nonprofit agencies, government entities, and faith-based institutions who support prevention work across the state. And they're our neighbors and our friends in our communities, and we see them in the grocery stores and everywhere else. And we would love the opportunity to help engage community sector stakeholders in the campus community so that both partners can strengthen each other's work with the individualized work that they're doing. Assessment activities is another opportunity where you can utilize these funds, specifically related to behavioral health and focusing on student health and wellness. If there are opportunities on your campus that you want to delineate data or amass understanding about the impact that COVID has had on your campus as far as students go, this would be a great opportunity to do that. Of course, obviously, doing some planning in response to COVID specifically. Things like telehealth opportunities, opportunities to engage students through technology, um, specifically maybe apps or a remote texting system, so that students can interact with campus professionals related to their behavioral health and well-being, and then also just building capacity for virtual engagement. Any type of um, collective opportunity to uh, provide those students with support, to provide students with the opportunity to have as normal, quote unquote, as normal of a process as they can while they're navigating their academic experience in the COVID pandemic. Some permissible uses of the funds. I'm not going to read every one of these to you. I'm going to highlight a couple, but this webinar will be is being recorded and will be put on our website, so you could go back and the slides will be available to you as well. So some permissible use of funds may include expenses to establish, as I mentioned, that telemedicine capability, or to strengthen a pre-existing telemedicine opportunities that you might already have on campus. Um, it will allow for those students and those individuals who are physically on campus, it would allow for PPE equipment to be purchased, to be utilized, so that we are helping to reduce the infectivity rates across Ohio's university structures. It could be used for public safety measures that campuses are taking as a response to COVID-19. Um, a pretty innovative and conscious opportunity is talking about food delivery. We know that campuses have had to adjust and adapt to those students who have remained on campuses, and they've had to be very creative in how they maintain a service provision and the health and welfare of students. So food delivery is an option, as well as expenses to help facilitate distance learning. As I mentioned earlier, um, we know that there's kind of almost a threefold process now that students are engaging in, whether they're in person, they're completely distanced, or they're in a hybrid model. So if there's opportunities for campuses to strengthen their technological improvements, or heighten their opportunities for distance learning and being able to engage those students, that would be a permissible use of funds in this context. Additionally, costs related to personnel who were diverted and who are now working and engaging in a public health situation and supporting the COVID-19 response would be an opportunity to be used for these funds. The public safety mechanism on each campuses to support engaging that process, or the health and healthcare apparatuses that are built into your campus already. You may allocate specific time spent with these funds to track that behavior and that work. We want to make sure that we're offering you the opportunity to fully engage students at all cost, pun intended, and be able to really support the great work that you're already doing. Increasing cost previously unbudgeted for equipment. As I mentioned on the last slide, we want to be able to offer you the opportunity to engage those students who are not physically on campus as well. So these are just some opportunities and some ideas on how these funds can be used. Some of the things that we cannot allocate or approve funds to be used for would be revenue replacement, especially in context to property taxes and fees, um, insurance that's not reimbursed through other federal response systems, expenses that have been or will be reimbursed under other federal programs, any costs, including indirect or administrative or payroll costs that were already approved in the most recent budget as of last March when the pandemic hit. Um, we're also not able to allocate funds for workforce bonuses, but that doesn't include hazard pay or overtime. So if you're able to articulate the explanation of that, then that's a potential possibility. Personnel costs for private employees paid directly by the campus. Grants and loans, though, could be considered coverable with these funds. Other things that are prohibited with this opportunity would include Medicaid matches, property tax assistance, reimbursement to donors or donated items or services, and legal settlements. So those are kind of some large ideas, 30,000 foot view perspective on just some general ideas on what can and cannot be covered by these funds. So what I wanted to do now is speak with you all about just some really exciting opportunities that these funds can be, or how these funds can actually be utilized to implement campus-wide change or campus-wide engagement with these dollars. So we've been in some personal one-on-one conversations with some campuses who have reached out based on the notification that came out on the 30th, and a really wonderful opportunity has come up on a college campus that they are looking to collaborate with an app company to create an opportunity for students to engage campus professionals through the app. That would be a really wonderful opportunity and a really wonderful way to understand and use these funds to engage students. So our main motivation and our main initiative with these funds is to really allow campuses across the OCI member network to be as creative and think outside the box as much as possible as you are continuing to do the greatly appreciated and wonderfully engaging work that you're doing on campuses in your day in and day out activities. At this time, I am happy to field any questions you may have specific to these funds, be able to engage one another on a peer-to-peer basis, and I would definitely encourage not only questions in the chat box, but also if you would rather ask your question verbally, just go ahead and raise your hand and we will unmute you and you can ask your question. A great question came in asking if there is a specific format or requirement for the plan of work. There is not. We have received a couple applications already, and they're just coming in like in a Word document. And the idea for the plan of work is to kind of give us an overview of what you're hoping to accomplish with these funds. So, 2 to 4 paragraphs at the most. And as long as you're articulating your idea and your concept, there is no specific format. Thanks for that question. Another great question, what is the dollar amount for the award again? I'll go back to that very first screen, but each campus has the opportunity to receive $16,810 in opportunities with this funding. A wonderful question. Another wonderful question: would partnerships with telehealth provider be acceptable use of these funds? We're trying to find ways to support students out of state and/or without insurance. Absolutely. Engaging a telehealth provider or strengthening, excuse me, a telehealth process on your campus is a permissible use of these funds if that's going to help support your process. That this would be a fundable opportunity with these dollars. Another question is asking about electronic health records and not currently having electronic health records process on campus, and would engaging in electronic health records process be a permissible use of this funds? I believe that would be a permissible use. I mean, when we talk about engaging students and being able to ensure that their health and wellness is being supported and handled as comfortably as possible, that could be a permissible use of the funds, absolutely. Could the campus or could these funds, excuse me, be used to help support campus counseling, such as NAMI? Absolutely. We would encourage partnerships with local NAMI chapters to engage mental health and wellness um, supports and help to strengthen that infrastructure on your campus. And collaborating with community organizations and partners is not only encouraged but would be applauded. Another question in the chat box. Prior to prior to the beginning of the pandemic, campus was working to become a JED campus. Are funds permissible to be able to help further that process? Absolutely. The JED Foundation is a wonderful national organization that not only supports high school students, but has a really great program to support college-age individuals when it comes to mental health and wellness. So engaging the JED Foundation and working with them to become a JED campus would be again um, an applaudable use of those funds, and we would encourage that as well. Uh, any type of program that is such as NAMI or JED or a local program that you might have that's going to help strengthen or encourage a a robust interaction with students when it comes to their behavioral health and well-being would be definitely a permissible use of the funds. We had another question that said that asks if uh, applicants have to be OCI members. Uh, you do have to be at this you do have to be a member of the Ohio College Initiative Network. Um, when as we the partnership that we have with the department uh, is that we have the potential for $1 million in funding to support this effort and initiative. So as we receive applications in the next couple weeks, um, the each campus has potentially been offered the opportunity for approximately $17,000. If if we have the opportunity to provide additional funding on top of that $17,000, we will be working with the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services to make those funds available to OCI members as well. So this is we're kind of looking at this as the initial opportunity, but I think will be opportunities for those funds to uh, be increased or additional funding coming from other partners and collaborators as well. So when you're thinking about your plan of action, and you're thinking about the impact that these funds can help support on your campus, um, I again encourage you to be as creative and to think outside the box as possible, as much as possible. One of the other opportunities that we wanted to provide you, and I'm going to switch screens here, is um, the ACHA, American College Health Association, has a really great healthy campus framework that will is a really great guide. We've done some review of this framework, and it's it's a really great guide to help campuses as they are building their campus response process. It is not specific necessarily to COVID, but it's a really great tool. This document is accessible on our website as well, and it might help to either inspire your planning process or encourage um, kind of your idealization of what you can do to strengthen your campus-wide networks. It also might offer some opportunity um, for confirmation of what you're thinking about or looking at. There's some really amazing. I'm going to scroll down to this content section. There's some really easily consumable and easily understandable opportunities if you're starting from scratch, as well as if you are looking to just strengthen a pre-existing process that you have. And it comes from different perspectives of the campus community, um, including identifying leaders and stakeholders in your conversations. That piece about uh, establishing or strengthening your multidisciplinary team. There's some helpful information in this framework about that, as well as some appendices that really give you some stronger understandings on development tools, collective impact models, and other ways to collect information and data. So I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention on this call as well. Another question coming in, again, it's asking about partnering with organizations like JED or another mental health based structure. And again, the answer to that is absolutely. We would strongly encourage it. There's a really great resource. Every county in Ohio has a mental health and recovery board, or sometimes it's called an Adam H board. Um, and those boards have wonderful opportunities, and they support nonprofit agencies across the state who are working in the behavioral health realm. And they will have contact information and lists if you're not familiar with the specific agencies and organizations that are around your campus. That would be a great resource to reach out to. And if you don't have, if you're not familiar with how to get a hold of those entities, again, we can be very helpful here at PAA with that. And we'll be promoting through our network news as well as just general outreach. And please feel free to email us and we'll be able to connect you with those partners as well, in addition to those national organizations like JED or NAMI. Any other questions? Checking the chat box just to make sure I didn't miss anybody. The webinar is being recorded and it will be housed on our website, as well as access to the slides will be on our website as well. So if you missed something or you want to go back to refer to it as you're filling out your application, please do that. Our website is www.preventionactionalliance.org, all one word. You can also Google Prevention Action Alliance or PAA, and that'll get you to our website as well. Once you're on our website, you'll want to click the Ohio College Initiative Network, and then the first link about halfway down the page is access to this opportunity and to this stipend. And we would encourage everybody who is eligible to apply. Somebody asked if there needs to be submission of a budget. The application does not include the submission of a budget. When we talk about in the update report that's due in January, there will be a section there that includes how have you spent the money, but you do not need to submit with the application a budget. Question was asked. The progress report is due January 5th. When do we have to have when do we have to extend the funds by that date, or is that just the interim report? All funds have to be expended by the end of this year, so the end of December 2020, and then the progress update report would be due January 5th, 2021. Question was asked of everybody who applies, how many schools will receive funds? As I mentioned, we have the opportunity and the possibility to fund all current OCI members. And we encourage all OCI members to apply for the funds. If we do not get a complete list of applications, then the opportunity for funding may increase. It might increase the amount that a campus can receive, and we will notify all applicants at that time, should that be the case. If a new question came in asking, should the request be for $16,810? That should be the requested amount. And as I just mentioned, in the event that we have additional funding, that opportunity will be presented to everybody for the reception of additional funds. Question asking, does the funds need to be tied to COVID initiatives? I would encourage everybody to make a connection to the COVID pandemic that we have happening across our country right now, because these funds are coming from the COVID Response Act. But again, we encourage you all to be creative and use ingenuity to support your overall structure. We know that all campuses have been impacted by the COVID in a multitude of ways. And we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity, as I mentioned, to continue the good work that you're doing with your students. And this would just be one more opportunity to do so. I think I've answered all the questions in the question box. If there are any additional questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Those of you who are saying thank you for the explanation and the opportunity, It is our pleasure. I speak not only for our team here at PAA, but for our partners at the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, and say thank you to you all for uh, being nimble and flexible in this time. And we know that the work you're doing on campuses has been made exponentially more difficult. So this is our opportunity and our hopeful way that we can be supportive of the good prevention work and the good work that you're doing around health and wellness. So if there are no other questions, I am happy to end today's conversation. I would like to again encourage you, if you have any questions that come up after we end today's call, you can reach out to us here at OCI at preventionactionalliance.org, and we will have people responding uh, regularly to those emails. And if there's any questions we can clarify between now and the 20th on those applications, don't hesitate to ask. And we really, really encourage you all to apply. These funds can, we hope that they will support and engage what you're doing in any way possible. With that, I'll thank you all for your time. And as I mentioned before, the slides and the webinar will be housed on our website, and reach out to us if you have anything additional. Thanks and have a great rest of your day.